Okay, we're recording. Hello, everybody. I am so excited. Happy New Year. It's 2018. It's crazy. I feel like this Christmas season went by so fast, and I am so excited and so ready for 2019. So for those of you guys that I haven't met yet, my name is Ashley Walmer, and I live here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And tonight we have the honor and privilege to be able to hear from author and motivational speaker and our very own Black Diamond, Denise Walsh, that is here with us and it works. And she lives here in Grand Rapids as well. And I'm just so excited for you guys to hear from her tonight. She has so much fun stuff up her sleeve right now. And her and I are doing an event together here in January that we're going to get into and talk a little bit about. But with all of this stuff that she's currently working on and putting out there and sharing her wealth of knowledge with everybody, I just thought it would be such an awesome thing if we could all just get together and hear from her heart, her words, exactly kind of the thoughts behind, what made this book and what made all of these things that she's putting out here, these resources for you guys, just to hear from her a little bit. So without further ado, thank you so much, Denise, for hopping on here tonight. Let me go ahead and find you.
Hey guys, I'm here.
Yay!
I love looking at all these squares of faces and seeing all these people that I know. So happy New Year! This was really, really fun. Thank you, Ashley, for inviting me to connect with you guys again. And there we go. I'll just start by sharing a bit about my story, Ash, and then we can go from there.
Perfect.
But yeah, I started with It Works almost 12 years ago. I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan as well. And prior to It Works, I was a clinical psychologist. And even prior to that, I feel like I got into the field of psychology because I really wanted to, the backstory people don't really get to hear very often is that I got into psychology because I was a camp counselor. Throughout my summers through school, I was a counselor for 2 summers in Asheville. I worked in home repair, which meant that I was like when people did a mission trip, they'd come to Asheville and I was the site leader. So I would take them to the house and we would do painting and drywall and roofing, and they called me Diesel because I would carry shingles up ladders. And I really got this heart of service. When you get that bug of service, you're that just doesn't leave you. But then I decided that physical labor was not my thing. So I decided that I was like, I just want to love people. Where can I just go love people? And so I don't know how I got on this list. And that's how and the how shows up. So this is what happened. I started looking around. I started researching. I must have signed up for a camp list. And then I got an email that said, we just love foster kids. That's what we do. And I was like, that is for me, and it's like that. This is what I've been looking for. So for the next 2 summers, I was a camp counselor in in New York. This was Port Jervis, New York. And I was a camp counselor with foster kids. So they would come to the camp and we'd work with them for 7 days. And it was here that I felt like I could see the amazingness of these kids, the potential of these kids, and they didn't know it. They were born into situations that they couldn't control, and they didn't know how awesome they were. And I'm sharing these before parts of the story because I think you probably have your own before it works parts where you go, oh, I can use all of those gifts and skills and knowledge and experience here. So even throughout camp, I was leading groups. I was pouring belief. I was helping them see how, that was my heart. Do you know how awesome you are? And that's why I got into psychology, because at that time, there's no internet, there's no Facebook, there's no nothing. The only thing I know is school. So how do I add value in this way? Is I go get my master's, I get my degree in psychology, and I started working at a community mental health. So community mental health in Barry County, Michigan is a rural podunk town. I was doing substance abuse. I was doing groups. I led groups on depression, anger management. Just think of 24-year-old blonde Denise, I'm going to change the world. And then I go lead a group on anger management folks. They were very lively. They were all there for domestic violence, court-ordered And I led groups with schizophrenia, with bipolar. I did on call. I had all of these big dreams and these big hopes and all this love to share. And when I got into my job, you guys, it was seriously burnout. There was so much I didn't know was going on in the world. It was hard. There were a lot of times when I would think of one client and I'd be like, I'm here for you, and you like justify why you're in this position you don't love. I wasn't thriving there. I felt restless. I felt like I don't want to be here for the next 30 years, but I don't really know what else to do because at least I understand the paperwork, So I interviewed at other jobs. I started seeing clients at my church, Kentwood Community Church here, and I'd see clients at night. And I was trying to figure out what to do because all of these big dreams and all of these big goals and all of this love that I had was starting to shrink in my job. And I was like, this is just my lot in life. I mean, my starting salary, like to be transparent as a master's level clinical psychologist was $34,000 a year. And 5 years later, it was $38,000. So it wasn't like, it was like barely breaking even. And then was the stress worth it? I remember being like, I was taking mental health days just for my own mental health. Like, and I didn't even have kids yet, goodness sakes. So I was burnt out. I didn't know what to do. I was in this hamster wheel of like, I guess this is just my lot in life. I guess I just have to accept it. I guess it's just my piece of the pie. I guess this is just what adults do. You know what I mean? And all of those big dreams and all of those big hopes I had getting out of college started to shrink. And I just felt stuck. And I felt in this restlessness of like, I want more. I have a lot to give, but like, this is not the medium to do it for 5 years. And I think a lot of us and a lot of our prospects are in that spot where they're like, this is not it for me. Like, I know I'm made for more. I know there's more for me out there, but I don't know what to do and I don't know how to get it. And they're restless and they're stirring, and then they find us. So for me, I found it works through my sponsor, Cammie. She was in our small group at church. And one divine appointment throughout all of this is that Cammie and I met when we went to the Young Marrieds class at KCC. Brandon and I went twice, and her and Nathan went once. And it was Young Marrieds. Brandon and I were like, 23, 24. We were young and married. Everyone else was like mid-30s with kids. And we were like, you guys are not young married. You guys are young families, So we only went twice because we were like, these are not young married people. But one of the times that we went was when they were divvying up for small groups. And that was when we met Cammie and Nathan. And I started with trying the wrap after getting to know them for a few, like 6 months of like getting to know them and like, hi, who are you? Whatever. I started by trying the wrap. They invited me to a Dr. Don night, which is basically a 1 team, 1 mission. And I really connected with the regular, if you guys remember that product. I was like, everybody needs colon health. I've understood preventative nutrition. I ran a few marathons. I've always worked out. So the nutrition side, the product side of this business really connected with me. So we signed up as a customer. Certainly not at all interested in doing the business. However, Brandon, who's always wanted to be an entrepreneur, he was an aerospace engineer. He was like, it sounds like a cool job, but he was bored out of his mind. He was in a cubicle world with grouchy old men, and he didn't want to be there either. And so he started to play in the basketball league at our church, and Mark Pentecost played in the basketball league. And so we just got to know the family, and we got to know the products, and we were like, if there's ever a time that we would do something like this would be the time. In fact, another side note is I knew Dr. Don even before it works. I went to Res Life, if any of you are in Grand Rapids. He goes to Res Life, and I went there throughout my Grand Valley days, and I heard him speak. And in fact, like one time, like after the service, he came up specifically and talked to me, and he was like speaking life into me and all of these things. And this was years prior to it work. So when I saw him here, I was like, Dr. Don, like, oh my gosh, we all love you. And so we upgraded to become a distributor 2 weeks after I signed up as a customer. I got excited about the products and Brandon got excited about the business. So I don't know. I was not a salesperson. I did not understand network marketing. I got my master's in clinical psychology. I was a people person. I was a help people grow person. I had been in school. That is all I knew, and so this was certainly not something that I expected to do or expected to be good at. So when we started, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, my skills were at 4. I would tell Brandon things like, should I go back to school for business? Do I need to learn how to be a business owner? Should I if you think about 12 years ago, and I don't know if you can, it's 2000, think back to 2007. There's no smartphones. There's no GPS in cars. I would go to parties using MapQuest. Remember that? Yep. I would print off my MapQuest map and then I'd forget to MapQuest my way home. So then you get back in the car and it's dark out and you have to and you don't have a phone. I'm telling you, a flip phone, you know what I mean? So it was a very adventurous experience. But we didn't have social media. So and we didn't have a ton of success in the business either. Cammie was diamond when I signed up. And Melody went ambassador. Melody McFarland was the first ambassador in the entire company. She went ambassador within the first few years. So the only success stories I really had were Cammie and Melody and maybe Debbie Sasick or Carla. And I remember being like, good for you, but can I do this? Good for you, Cammie. You kind of own the room when you walk in and you're kind of loud and you dance on tables. I'm not like that. Can I do this? And I remember, Debbie's uber professional and Carla knows the product. She's a nurse, and can I do this? And so I would show up at events and I would come, but I always was wondering, was this going to be for me? Could I really do this? And I think the biggest aha moment I had throughout the first few years in the business was, I can do it. And I built that by, number one, showing up at events and being a part of the community. Now, the community was small enough back then where if I didn't show up, people noticed. I would get texts like, where are you? Are you coming tonight? You know what I mean? Because there was only 3 of us coming. So it was important. It was important to be a part of the community. It was important to know that my presence mattered, that I was adding something to the team. And so think about our teams now. I feel like part of my job is to give the team a space to go, I'm good at this. I'm a part of the community. I'm a part of something bigger than myself. I'm adding value and it's important that I show up. People notice. And then the other way I kind of grew that muscle is when I was complaining / whining to Brandon and asking him if I needed to grow in all of these areas I sucked at. He was like, Denise, you've always just been a good friend. Just do that. And I took a step back and I was like, all right, why did I get into psychology? Because I want to help people grow, period. That is why. How can I do some of that here? So instead of calling people, because remember, this was, circa texting. We didn't, call people on the phone. So I'd call people on the phone and I'd be like, hi, this is Denise Walsh with It Works and the Body Wraps. How may I help you? And I would try to be uber professional because I wanted them to take me seriously. But instead, I learned to say things like, hey, girl, I'm about to go for a run. I wanted to connect with you real quick. Are you ready to place your order? Or, hey, we're about to go out to dinner. But I wanted to connect with you because I know you're ready for the greens. Or, hey, I just wanted to, you know what I mean? Because I realized once they signed up in my business, they were going to be my friend anyway. So we might as well start early. And I began to just use my connecting strengths with my prospects. And instead of trying to be something that I wasn't and being, trying to grow in an area that I wasn't my naturalness, I started to really hone in on what made me excited, what made me tick. I realized that all of the same things I was doing in my therapy sessions, I was doing with my new distributors. What do you want? Why do you want it? Let's put it in your calendar. What's stopping you? What are you afraid of? You know what I mean? And I was able to do a lot of that stuff with my team and with my new distributors and then brewing leaders. So when I focused on my strengths, not only did it work, right? I got better results because I was excited about it, but then my confidence grew. And I started to really realize I can do this. And it was when like that flipped for me that it was game over. You know, then it wasn't just a side hobby anymore. Then it wasn't just a thing to do because I need friends. It was like, this is my calling. It went from a career essentially to my calling, where like I can live out my life's purpose within this business and throughout this business with my team and beyond. And it went from my head to my heart. Now, it took us a year to go diamond, 2 years to go double, 3 years to go triple, 4 years to go presidential, 5 years to go ambassador, and then 8 more years to go black diamond. So we certainly weren't like fast out of the gate. Our warm market didn't sign up until I went triple diamond and quit my job and went to Australia for 6 weeks. Then they were finally like, oh, that sounds really cool. And my warm market signed up after we went triple. Okay, one more quick story about that season, and then I'll take a break. But so one thing that people don't know about our story, too, is that we essentially had to find new leaders after we got to triple. So the people who got us to triple were not the same people that got us to ambassador. So I can be cool like all of the youngins. I like to say it took me 3 years to learn this business and 2 years to rock it out, because the people that took us to ambassador signed up when we were triple diamond. And what happened then, it ended up being a huge blessing in disguise, because the people who signed up at triple diamond for us, Nikki Moore, Amanda Casanova, let me think, Barbara Bozer was in already, but Hauser, some of those people that are like presidentials and above now were all fully coded to me, meaning fully triple and above coded to me, which meant that all of my time and attention were spent on these new people that ended up growing my check even more, and I didn't have to split my focus. So if you're not yet diamond, that might not make any sense to you, but if you are, just realize like what a blessing in disguise it ended up being. Pam would always say to me things like, Denise, your volume is so low and your checks are so high. And I'd be like, thanks, Pam. But what did that mean? I realized that it meant you can make $100,000 a month with 4 ambassadors on your team and less than 4 million in volume, when Carla Burns and others have 30 million in volume. You know what I mean? So it ended up being a huge blessing, and I created momentum in those legs. And at the end of the day, it all worked out for good. So I'll take a break, Ashley, if you've got any questions, and then I can keep going.
I love that. I remember last fall coming to your office downtown Grand Rapids, and there was a picture on the wall, and you had said, I want you to look at that picture, and you guys were at the mansion, and you're like, I don't think any of those people are still in my business. But I impacted all of them. And then you said something to me that I think I will forever like hold on to, is you said this business is a marathon, and some people are just not marathon runners, but there may be a sprinter and they maybe want to sprint for a little while, or maybe they may be a long distance person and they're in your business and they're running and you're running with them for a while. But that's okay, because we're marathon runners, and we're looking for those people that we can impact through the whole journey. And I just thought, wow, like what a cool way to look at it. Like, I just love your heart for people. And that just shows through with everything that you just said about even just like why you want to do this business, and that you can live out your life's purpose through this. And I think, you know, we all have different whys of why we started this and why we're still continuing. And it's really the same thing. It's for me anyways, of why I got started. And it's just really cool to hear your perspective on things. So
I'm going to turn the light on really quick. Hold on a second.
Okay, go for it.
Keep going. I can hear you.
Okay. One thing that I just have loved getting to know about you is just how real you are. Because I think sometimes we see leaders on stage and we see people, and you especially because you're Black Diamond, right? And so everybody in the company knows who you are. You're a big deal. And I think sometimes it's hard to connect those people, especially when, you know, we're stuck in our heads thinking that we're at a certain rank, or, oh, I'm, you know, just an executive. You know, Denise Walsh is this like amazing person, but you are just a human being like all of us. And I love the heart behind like some of your Black Diamond story. Could you kind of like get into some of that?
Yeah. Now the light is like too bright. I really wanted to be a good video. Yeah, you know, I think it's interesting, and that's why I love these smaller Zooms, because people see us on stage and they only get like a 2-minute glimpse into our story. When any sort of success is built on grit and heart and focus, and ours is no different. People see the success, but they don't see the crackers in the closet calling leads for 12 hours. You know what I mean? So the Black Diamond story, it took us 3 years to go Black Diamond. And you don't really learn I feel like you learn afterwards what you learned. You know what I mean? When you're going through it, it's hard to see the whole picture. But it took us 3 years to go through this. And the first year was 2013. They announced Black Diamond, and honestly, I thought we had it in the bag. Like this was the first time they ever had this goal. And we were like, oh yeah, totally got this. And I think that I took it for granted a little bit. I think I thought it was just going to happen. And in fact, our highest check that month, you guys, was $140,000 top spot, because they don't include brand in any of this. It's just the top spot. So our top check that year was $140,000. 80,000 of it was leadership level bonuses. Just giving diamonds and above perspective. So I thought it was in the bag. I was like, oh yeah, coasting into Black Diamond, no big deal. And I started having this fear. I started having this little guy on my side say things like 98, 98, 98, 98, 98, 98, 98, 98. And I hadn't learned taking my thoughts captive yet. I hadn't learned about retraining my brain. There's a lot of things that came over the next 2 years that I really grew through. But I started laughing about it. I started like that thought like embodied me, and I was like, ha ha ha, that'd be so funny if we missed it by just a few $1,000s. And I like laughed about it, and I talked about it, and I thought about it, and Pam called me. After 4 months of, remember, Black Diamond means you get $100,000 a month for 6 months in a row. After 4 months, she said, Denise, you missed it. And our check was $97,000. With fast starts, it was 98, because I like ran back and collected all my fast starts. And I said, Pam, I've been thinking 98 all month long. And she said, Denise, you did it to yourself. And I seriously, I mean, who cries over a $98,000 check? Like, you do for a minute, right? It's not about the money. My mission has never been about the income. It's always been about the goal. It's always been about the focus. You know what I mean? So it was not about the money. It was about a goal that I missed. Now, how many of you have set a goal and missed it? Whether you want to go ruby or diamond or hit a bonus or whatever, and you miss it. This was not the first time in my business that I missed a goal. In fact, I think my hardest promotion was between Ruby and Emerald, because I was looking for people who wanted this just as bad as I did. But this was a big time and a public time when I almost had it and then missed it. And so then 2014, I was like mad, you know, and you're like, we'll see if that happens. I didn't want to fully jump in, because what if it didn't happen again? So I'd say all the right things, you guys. And remember, I'm doing all the effort. I'm doing all the work. I'm calling all the leads. I'm doing the parties. I'm showing up for my team. I'm doing all the stuff. But in 2014, I was like, we're going Black Diamond. But in my heart, I'd say, yeah, right. We'll see if that happens. Like, I was a bit spiteful. I was a bit grouchy. I didn't fully believe it. And so even though I was doing the things, my heart was not connected to the goal. And I was just like not fully believing that it would happen. So in 2015, 2 things happened. Number one, they came out with 2.0. So 2.0, for those that don't know, means once you're ambassador, you get another spot that starts off at 0 that the goal is to build. I thought to myself, if something like nothing's going to change if nothing changes. Like if I want something to change, I have to change it. So I can't just expect Black Diamond to happen. It's obviously not going to happen on its own. I'm not going to coast into this goal. I need to do something different. So 2.0 gave me a focus. And what happens when you have a focus is you have blinders on, right? And it's like, I don't even hear the word no. I don't even hear the word I'm not ready or I'm discouraged or whatever. I'm just like excited and focused on where I'm going. And we took 2.0 to triple in 1 year. And because I was focused and I was excited, and it allowed me to create momentum in that one leg. Prior to that, again, this may not make any sense to those that are not yet Diamond, but for those that are, I was ambassador and Brandon was ambassador, and we were building diamonds underneath Brandon wide. That was like the strategy. But I can only get so excited about someone else's goal, because the reality is that it's important for them to flip over themselves. It's important for them to do I will help. I'm placing people. I'm doing the things. I'm, helping with parties. I'm helping with volume. But it's in their best interest to grow throughout the journey. So I can't do it all for them. I just can't. But when it's my spot, freak, I'm doing it. I'm making it happen. I don't care. I'm like going to make sure that this flips in the system and that I get all the bonuses that I can, because this is like my check, right? And so 2.0 gave me a focus. It gave me a clear vision and a focus. And that allowed me to put those blinders back on in a way that hadn't been the past few years. And then the second thing that happened was that we in August every year, we did which, by the way, KCC is not doing Willow Creek this year, just so you know, if you got that email. Yeah, we're going to have to think about something else. But Willow Creek Leadership Summer is in August, and KCC is a church here, and we always would go, and we planned fun events at our house and things. And so this year, we decided to do a Come As You Will Be party. This is 2014. Amber, I think you came in for that. And we pretended like it was the year 2025. So 10 years down the road, okay? This is the first time we've ever done this. And I had to prepare my team. In fact, they were mad at me for making them do this party, because they said, I don't even know what I want next week. How am I going to know what I want next in 10 years, So we had to do these Zooms, and we had to say things like 30 things I want to be, do, have. What is my dream day? What do I want to experience? Who do I want to give back to? How old are my kids? Do I want more kids? We had to really get clear and excited about where we were going. And I think that because I had to do so much prep work, I got to do so much prep work for this party. I was talking about where I was going to be all the time. I created a business card that said, it works first, triple Black Diamond. And remember, I'm not Black Diamond yet. As seen on Oprah's Favorite Things and American Ninja Warrior. This is also before the bodybuilding competition. So many cool things came from this party. Nikki Moore has adopted 2 children since this party. I know another girl who fostered and adopted 2 children since this party. My sister redid, pop the top of her house, as they call it, and put on a second story. So many cool things came from the work we did to this party. So we were at this party. This is how I know this is not a coincidence. We were at the freaking party. And Mark Pentecost texts me, and he says, Denise, you got month 5. Now, all of my leaders are there. You know what I mean? And so I get on the microphone, and I was like, this is real time right now. This is not pretend. We just got month 5. And we were all celebrating. And I remember Barbara Bozer said to me, Denise, you cannot miss month 6, meaning don't think you're going to coast into this. And so we were like, okay, what do we do? This is when Power Hours were born. We were like, we do not need to train. All we need to do is follow up and chart. And so we did Power Hours from 8 to 10, Monday through Thursday. I wore Cammie's Black Diamond jacket every single day. I, again, was having this fear and this doubt because we had Dash, which is a leadership retreat that September, and how embarrassing would it be if we miss it again? You know what I mean? All these things come to your mind. And in month 5, I was starting to think 78 for some reason, just random 78. But this time I had learned to retrain my brain. This time I had been listening to The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale every day for 30 days. And in that book, which is from the 50s, and it's crazy how relevant it still is, he says you become what you think about. So think about what you want to become, right? So I was like, 103, 103, 103. So anytime fear came, 103, 103, 103, I put it all over my house. I put it in my car. I embodied it. I like it was in my heart. You know what I mean? Like I was radiating Black Diamond. So when month 5 came, while we were at the party, I checked our check, like when it popped up a couple days later, and it was 1025. So then I started thinking that is very close. So I upped my goal to 113, 113, 113, 113, 113. And I started thinking about it. And I started not just thinking about it, because what I've learned is that this matters, but you know what? This matters more. Like I had to be emotionally invested in the goal. If I'm here freaking out and saying this, it doesn't work. Like I had to emotionally feel like it was happening. And so we were talking about it like it was happening. We were like imagining Mark celebrating us. We were expecting it to happen. We were like, corporate needs it for us to, they need us to do it. Like we'll do it for them. Just kidding. Like we were like, all right, we were like emotionally connected to this goal. So that was August of 2015, and the check ended up being 131. Now, one thing that was happening throughout this month was that we were doing these power hours, and people started having dreams. Like they were having dreams that we hit Black Diamond. My sister had a dream that we hit 136, and I was like, that would be crazy. I had other people tell me that they had dreams that we were running for president, like obviously not happening, but still very interesting. And it was like, in Finding Nemo, when they're all swimming down and they're like, everybody swim down. Like we were all focused on the same goal. Like not only, obviously they were working on their own goals. They wanted their own fast starts. But they were also excited about this collective goal, and this collective energy, I think really created some momentum within our team. And 2 more Black Diamond stories was that we had a vacation planned the first week of September. So we went Black Diamond, and then we drove to South Carolina and had a house rented with my entire family. Like, how convenient is that? And Joel and Steph went Black Diamond the month before, and they randomly had an Africa trip already scheduled. Those are just things that you go, that we couldn't plan that, like that was divine. And then the second thing that happened was, even though we got the call from Mark that said you hit the goal, we were excited about it. Like we felt so connected to it that by the time it actually happened, we were like, well, duh, like finally you guys get it too, We're like so living in it. But I still had fear, so we got to go on the Black Diamond experience. Means that you take a private plane to corporate. You stay in a bed and breakfast. We got massages. We got fancy dinners. We took a helicopter to the island. We got a $5,000 shopping spree that I did not share with Brandon. Like we got to do all this fun stuff. And I was experiencing that full of anxiety. And I was feeling like there's a lot of people working hard. Like, why did we get to deserve this? I was feeling success guilt. I was feeling like people were mad at us, and you're like, are people like jealous? Are they angry? Are they throwing tomatoes at us through Facebook? They always say when you're successful, like your butt is more exposed. So you're like, what is happening? And you just always, I was experiencing some of this fear and guilt, really. And I told Brandon, and he said, well, that's retarded. And I was like, well, thank you. That's dumb. So I decided to go for a run, and I went for a run, down in Florida, and I was listening to The Strangest Secret again, because I knew this is not how I wanted to feel. I wanted to really enjoy my time here. I wanted to embrace it. I wanted to take it, absorb it and take it back to my team and all of that. And so I'm listening to it. I'm thinking, all right, well, how do I want to feel? How do I want to think? How do I want to experience this event? And really trying to shift my emotions and all of that. And I get back and I'm stretching. And this girl randomly messages me. She just went diamond the night before. And she said to me, Denise, if I make no more money in this business, I will forever be grateful. My life is forever changed. My husband got baptized. We paid off debt. We're closer as a family. Like, my life is better because of this experience. Thank you. And I just sat back and I was like, dude, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I am giving back to the world, and I am helping and loving on people. And we get to go on private jets to private islands with crazy shopping sprees and experience all of this fun along with it. And what's so cool about that story is that the girl who texted me works third shift and woke up out of a dead sleep to text me that. Right when I finished my run, right when I was stretching, right when I needed the confirmation that I didn't need to feel any guilt, that I didn't need to feel any fear, that I was doing what I was supposed to do. And so now anytime I have some of those same fears or doubts or whatever emotions that come up, I just know it's part of the journey. And it doesn't mean anything. It's not a sign. I don't need to live in that. I can go, well, that's interesting, and then go focus on what I truly want and choose to live in there.
I'm like trying not to cry because that's so amazing. You are like such an inspiration, and thank you so much for sharing your heart with all of us. Just that, because I think, you know, we see all the success. We see you coasting in, you know, from the sidelines. We see just the, you know, congratulations and the you on stage and getting introduced as, you know, the Black Diamond for the first time. We don't see all of the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. And I think, you know, like you said, success is not, it's grit, it's hard work. It doesn't just happen. Things don't just happen. You have to have intention. And it's good to just know that, you know, you're just like all of us. We all have things that we're going to go through. And I love when you talk about it has to go from the head to the heart, and you have to be emotionally connected to it. I think, you know, any of us on here probably that has one person on our team, you know, we feel connected to our team's goals. But there is something that does have to happen when you get excited about your own goal. It is just something that kind of takes over you. I know last year around this time we did dream boards, and my dream board was all of my team's dream boards. And I really wanted to focus on that. But you know what happened for me is I lost a goal and a focus of my own because I wasn't being clear about what I wanted. I was clear about what everybody else wanted. And I thought that meant me being a good leader by getting behind everybody else on my team. So that was just kind of an aha moment for me right there. So, okay. One thing that I would love to know, because I think some of you know, but Denise has just published this book right here, Dream Life Daily Journal. I don't know if you can see me because I have her on full screen, but I would love to know what happened between Black Diamond and this, where you wanted to help more people get intentional about their goals and dreams and be able to put it on pen and paper. Like, what birthed that? Like, how did that come to pass?
Whew. Okay. Yeah, geez, this is a whole nother baby story. So what happens, and you guys will experience this too, whenever you experience success, I mean, everybody starts going, what'd you do? Tell me how to do it. If I were a fly on the wall, what do you do all day? And I'm like, I just call leads all day. I'm not doing anything special. But I had to reverse engineer it. And I really started to be like, no, like, what do I do? Like this, like, there's something different here. Like, what is it that's creating this? And so in 2015, we went Black Diamond. In 2016, I did the bodybuilding competition. And then which is a whole nother level of like discipline and focus and choice and suffering, and success. I got really good pictures. But then I also did the Train the Trainer program with Jack Canfield, because I was listening to a training and they said a percentage of your income each month needs to go back into professional development. And, you know, I was like, well, that is more than books and tapes. You know, when you're making 50 to 100,000 a month, like, that's more than just buying a couple books. So I decided I wanted to do something immersion-ish. And I wanted to learn something that would help me be better with my team. And so Jack, again, this is one of those things like you start asking and the house starts to show up, right? So I was looking at different places that I could really learn from. And Jack is the one who wrote success principles, which is where I learned the Come As You'll Be party. It's one of the chapters in there. It's like 3 lines, and I was like, that is what we need to do. And so I did the Train the Trainer program with him, and that really gave me a plethora of material that I can use on stage and with my team. But then I was like, more people need this. Like, it's more than just my team needs this type of information. So in 2017, I wrote a book called Design Your Dream Life, and that will be out in May of this next year, of this year. Huh? That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, I was working with a designer who it's too big and I had to redo it. That's a lot of crying, but now it's happening. So we're redoing that book, and that book is connecting science, scripture, and story. So it's taking, and it's a workbook, meaning you do the work in it. Like, what do you really want? Setting your goals, setting affirmations. Why do affirmations work? Visualization, action plan. Like, it's a whole thing, like letting go of fear, guilt, resentment. All of that is like all throughout. It's like a whole linear system. So that book is coming out. And when I realized that I had to redo it, I got connected with the new team. We're redoing it. And we decided to come out with the journal first because that was a bit easier to redo. So once you know what you want, you have to do something every single day. And that's where the journal comes in. So each part of the journal this has been my morning routine, you guys, for years. This is what I did in my war room, which is my closet downstairs, where I like do intentional prayer. It's more than just like reading a book, right? It's like writing and speaking and taping things on my wall, and my kids can't rip down. And that's what I was doing in my war room. And so each day is fairly similar, but the quote is different. And then there's a different gratitude game. So each morning starts with a morning prayer, eyes wide open, and gratitude game. Morning prayer is just that, like a centering. Eyes wide open was born because what do you think the most common question is that I get during coaching calls? What am I doing wrong? That is the most common question. And that is not at all what I'm interested in talking about. I would rather talk about what parts do you love? What parts bring you joy? What do you connect with? And let's like make that bigger rather than what's going wrong. And so eyes wide open is a place where we can say, what's going right? Like, where is God moving? What connections have I been made? Like, who did I see at the grocery store that was like a blessing? Like, it doesn't have to be crazy big things each day, but what you'll find is when you're more aware of where God is already moving and the amazing connections and just like what's going right in your life, you'll see more of that. And then the gratitude game raises our emotional body. As we know, like attracts like, right? And if we're grouchy and if we don't emotionally, if we're like emotionally stuck in fear, guilt, resentment, we cannot attract the love and excitement and abundance that we want. And so every day we want to just bring our emotional body up to a place of gratitude. And it's fun. Like, every gratitude game is a little bit different and a little bit fun. Let me see. I think day 4 is one of my favorites. Let me see if that's what I remember correct. Yeah. Okay. Day 4 is one of my favorites, and I'll read it to you. It just says, let's get away. Pretend you're on vacation. Whatever you do this day, do it because you want to, because you choose to, and because you're having fun doing it. So on this day, I write out my to-do list. Like, I am so excited to pick Owen up from school. And I just love the way he chatters at me all the way, like tells me all about these random things while we go pick up Eli. And I'm just super excited to do 3 coaching calls with my amazing team who are thriving in this business. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like my normal every day. But I'm talking about it in a way that says I'm choosing this. And it really has shifted my perspective. So the gratitude game raises your emotional body. And then we go into the being section, which is prayer, meditation, and reflection. Now, this is important because what is, again, one of the most common questions I get? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Tell me what to do. And again, you guys, the question really is, who do I be? Like, it's all about your heart space. So we can give 2 people the same script and they'll get very different results based on who they are. And are they coming across as somebody that people want to follow, that can bring confidence? You know, like, who are they? So this space is a place where we can just connect with ourselves and and listen to ourselves. Like, a lot of dreams were birthed for me in this space. Jack Higginfield, the bodybuilding competition, Black Diamond, like a lot of these things came because I was being quiet. So prayer is a place of victory. Like, where do I want God to move? And it's not a place of whining or a place of like focusing on the complaints, right? We want to focus on the victory. So here is where I want my heart to be whole, where I'm asking for movement. I'm thanking God for the new team of people he's bringing into my organization. I'm asking for movement here. Meditation is a place of listening. So you can do Headspace. I do Headspace, which is an app that's guided meditations in the morning. If I really don't feel like I've got a ton of time, I'll just take like 5 to 10 deep breaths. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It really is just bringing your thought patterns down, like just like chilling out for a minute. Like So meditation is a place of like being, and then it gives you a place to reflect and write, which we know writing, like automatic writing, is another place to connect with yourself. If you don't know what to write about, you can just write about what you're doing that day. You can just ask. Sometimes I'll just ask a question, like, should we have a third baby? Then I write about what I answer. We've had to do IVF, so I don't, there's lots of barriers, but we'll see. But like, if I have a life question or a business question, then I'll write about that. And I feel like God speaks to me throughout some of that, where I'll just write, you know what I mean? And again, there's no right or wrong here. It's just giving you space to be. And then we go into the dream life goal. So here's the deal. This is your focus. Remember when I had 2.0, I could focus. Gave me a focus. This is where you say your dream life goal. This is your big goal that will domino affect everything else. It will quantum leap you. It will impact other areas. So for our business, it's typically a promotion, a bonus, an income. Like, what are we looking to do? The dream life goal stays the same. This is your big goal that's going to take a while. This is not something that you do in a day, because nothing good happens in a day. This is your big goal. And then you write your affirmations and visualizations that are connected to the goal. So you start talking to yourself and seeing yourself like it's already happened. And the reason why this is important, and we'll talk more about this at the event in a few weeks, is that when you start speaking to yourself and you start thinking to yourself, this I am stuff, right? A couple things happen. Number one, it shifts your identity. And what happens when we start shifting our identity is that we like to self-sabotage, because our like inner body is like, excuse me, I'm overweight and losing weight is not in my identity. And so I don't understand this. Or experiencing success, my whole life has been a struggle. This is not in my identity. And so we have to like retrain our brain to shift our identity to believe that this is all the psych stuff coming out in me. Can you tell? And that's why it's repetitious. And that's why it's retraining your thought patterns. It's retraining your identity, and it unlocks your reticular activating system. So your reticular activating system is a part of the brain that basically is your brain's filter. And there's all of this input coming in, and your brain cannot digest all of this input. So how does it decide what's important? By what you're thinking about. That's your brain's filter. So it trains your reticular activating system to see what you really want. So think about it, if once you go looking for a car, right? I always think about, Brandon just got a Tesla, and there are no Teslas in Grand Rapids, so I cannot use that as an example. But let's say you're like looking for a yellow beetle, and all of a sudden you start seeing yellow beetles everywhere. They were probably there to begin with, but now all of a sudden you start seeing them. And why? Because you're thinking about it. Your reticular activating system starts to notice it. So the affirmations start to kind of train your reticular activating system, and then the visualization cements it from your head to your heart. Because the cool thing is, you guys, is that your subconscious cannot differentiate between a real or an imagined event. So what happens when we are adults? We start using our imagination for fear. What if this doesn't work? What if everybody laughs at me? What if it falls apart? What if, whatever. We like start, and a lot of times that's not happening right now. That's not true right now. But yet we allow our emotions to go down to this fear bit. We use our imagination for fear rather than using our imagination for good. So what the visualization does is it's saying, let's use our imagination. Like, what do we really want? what do we want life to look like? What would it look like if X, Y, and Z happened? How do I feel if I'm diamond? What would a diamond look like? When I'm debt free and can, I now have all like thousands of dollars that instead of paying off debt, I can use to whatever I want. Like, how is that going to feel? And you start really seeing yourself there. What happens then is it cements it, and the subconscious like has to figure out a way to make it work. Like that's how the how starts to show up for you, is because your subconscious is like, well, this is what life is like, so this is where we need to go. And you'll start seeing people sign up in your business the last day of the month that order a booster pack, and you're like, praise the Lord, and what does everyone else say? They go, oh, you're so lucky. And you're like, no. I've been planting seeds for months, and I'm like committed and rooted in this goal. Like, this is how the how starts to show up for you. So this, you guys, is where the personal vision is created. This is when you see yourself 3 steps ahead of where you were before. And I think one reason why I get so excited about this section specifically is because I didn't have any when I started. I was a hard worker. I was an employee. Tell me what to do and I'll do it well. I bloom where I'm planted. But I didn't have vision. And I certainly didn't quite have vision for me and for my team. But I had to develop that throughout this business. And I think when you learn something like this, you're like, everybody needs to know. So this is where you develop your own personal vision and you see yourself 3 steps ahead, and then you move towards it. And then this is where the action comes in, because unless you're Carla Burns, I always say Carla prayed her team into existence. I did too, but I also worked hard. So here is the action that you do. So this is, what can I do today to take me in that direction? And you want to break it down to something you can do today. So it's not just call leads. Okay, how many leads? Did I do it? Yes or no? There's health and relationships here, because we do want to be well-rounded. We don't want to gain 50 pounds and promote to ambassador and lose our marriage and whatever. We want to stay healthy. So there's health and relationship goals there too. But the idea with this is that then you're doing something every day that is going to take you in the direction. And what you'll find is that it may feel like a turtle step. You may not feel craziness every single day, but because you are calling 20 leads or messaging 50 people or adding 50 people on Facebook or scheduling 3 parties or doing 20 host-to-posts, you're doing something is taking you in the direction. So you can feel good about that. And then you also that 1% shift is taking you somewhere. So there's going to be times where you're like, this is a turtle and I don't know if it's actually helping me. And is this party 3 hours away actually helping me build my business? And, you may feel like that throughout the journey, but then all of a sudden it's like cheetah speed. You can tell I have boys. Cheetah speed. And they're super fast. And all of a sudden it's 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4 anymore. And you see the fruit of all of your labor. But that only happens when you're consistent. And that 1% shift of consistent focus and effort over time will create momentum. And I just know, I know that this will happen, whether it takes 30 days or 90 days or 2 years. It took us 3 years to go Black Diamond, but the lessons I learned throughout that journey are priceless. So I'm excited to have something that's physical, because I've been doing it in a notebook for so long. It's fun to have something that you can complete and check, you can it just helps to guide the whole process. And it's been really fun to create.
I love it. For those of you guys that don't have it, it is amazing. And it should be your New Year's resolution to do something like this. You said something earlier, Denise, at the very beginning, and where you're talking about how when you're in something and you're going through something, you don't always see it, right? And I've always said, we learn life backwards. It's only after we go through something can we analyze and look back and go, wow, okay, I see where I messed up there. I see where I did good. We learn life's lessons backwards. But the other cool thing, you guys, is we can learn through other people's success and failures and mistakes. And so this book for me, what you just said, is that's what you were doing every day for how many years? You said, 3 years before you actually created a tool for it. And so I'm super excited just to be able to literally do the steps that you did every single day, because, when success, the whole, you find somebody who has success and you can copy that. So I'm super excited to just dive into that. Okay, so one last thing that I kind of wanted to just have you talk a little bit about. I know some of you guys live super far away, but there are some of you that are close here to Grand Rapids. And when I say close, if you're within 12 hours, get in the car and drive. Because it'll be worth it. And Amber Parker, you need to book your flight tonight. So why come to Dream Space in January? Because I think I know how, I mean, it's like Christmas. Like I wanted to get past Christmas so we could like focus on Dream Space, because I am so excited about what you've planned for everybody and just the monumental shifts and transitions that are going to happen for people. Like I could cry thinking about it. I'm so stinking excited. So can you give people just maybe a little bit of a glimpse of like what this day is going to look like?
Yes. Okay. So, this is the first full-blown like personal development event that I've ever done, because I do boot camps all the time, right? Or one team, one missions and things like that. So this is the first full day immersion experience that I'm able to put on, and I'm super, super excited about it. And so a few things that we're going to do. The idea is, you guys, is number one, there's going to be about 30 to 45 minutes of teaching time through each section, but then we're going to actually do it. So we're going to have space to connect with your strengths, your life purpose, your, like, what brings you joy? Like sometimes we don't know what we want because we don't know who we are. And so we're going to have space to actually do that together. We're going to also have some space to let go of any of the emotional strings that have held us on in the past. And Ashley's going to share for the first time her forgiveness story that I just like, we're going to all need, there will be tissues at every table. But that is going to be a really space for healing. You know, that's the space where we cannot create if our emotions are back here. And as much as we like to force it, healing and letting go and truly forgiving ourselves and others is the best way to emotionally get into a space where we can then create the life that we want. It's like releasing the brake. And so we're going to give us space to do that. And then we're also going to do the dreaming section. So after that, we have a break, and then we have the what do I want, like getting clear on your next goal, creating an action plan, talking about affirmations, visualizations, and doing the work there. So you leave with all the tools that you need to like go make it happen. And then we're going to cement it with a come as you will be party. So this is like a cocktail event from about 5:15 to 7, where you're going to go out, you'll have a half an hour break, and you're going to change into your 2024 gear and come back and talk like it's 2024. And we're going to talk about all the things that we've experienced, some of the things that we've done, who we're with, how old are our kids, where we've traveled. And that cements a lot of the work that we've done throughout the day. Now, these are things that we've done on the cruise with Carla and I. We do activities like this on the Disney cruise. And what's so cool about doing it all like in the same day is it all builds on each other, and you're going to end with that big exclamation point. So I'm really excited and like scared, but excited. Just because I know the power of the material, and it's going to be really, really fun to do it with everyone. And I'm so honored that Ashley is going to share her story too.
I'm super excited. I'm excited for breakthrough that's going to come for every single person that's in that room. Just them being able to leave just with, like you said, kind of releasing that break and just being able to move through and focus on what you want because of it. You know, God created all of us for such a time as this, and we all have things that we go through. Like, you know, you heard a lot of Denise's story tonight. It wasn't just an instant success story overnight. She didn't just wake up and go Black Diamond. There was a lot of stuff along the way, you guys. And so I think sometimes it is easy to get so focused on the junk that holds us back that we're not able to even blossom into the person that we even are. And I'm so excited for that breakthrough to happen. at the
Yeah,
event.
if you feel stuck, like this event is for you. If you feel like you're ready for more and you're ready to break through your own personal glass ceiling, this event is for you. So yeah, I'm really excited. And it's not just for It Works people, because this is not It Works content. This is like life content. So if you're close by and you have a friend, family member, whoever that you think would enjoy the material too, absolutely bring them. Because why not? Should love.
Yeah, for sure. People are asking where they can find the info. If you go to Denise's page.
Go to dreamlifetoolkit.com. Dreamlifetoolkit.com has everything. Dreamlifetoolkit.com. But yes, I've been working on the and I have another call at 9, so I'm gonna have to hop off in a minute. But I've been working on the what's it called, photo booth today, and it's so beautiful. And Ashley's gonna see it tomorrow. We've just started kind of doing this is the first time, so there's a lot of details that we've never done before. That it's going to be super fun. So
I am so excited. I can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Denise. It has been such an honor for you to be on here and just to share your story and your heart and just the amazing person that you are. So I love you to death, and I am super, super proud of you and excited for everything that you're going to accomplish this year too. So thank you so much.
Yay. Love you guys.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
Good
Bye.
night, everybody.